A report out last week stated that the age with which you're going to be able to retire and take a state pension needs to be increased to 71 years old. So what does this mean for all of us? How likely is it to happen, and what can you do to offset the issue? So it comes from a report. I'm going to leave a link for it below. It was from one of those think tanks that everyone loved. This one's called the International Longevity Centre for the UK, and it was looking at how long people are going to live around the world. Now the issue here we have is how many people are working versus how many people are taking a state pension. Now, contrary to popular belief, there is no pot, there is no bank account full of cash that we're all paying into and it grows over the years that enables us to take that pension in future years. It's not a case that when you pay your taxes every month, that goes into a pot just for you. And then when you retire, it is there, it is grown, they've invested it really cleverly and it's doubled its value every few years. And they're probably creaming a bit off here and making some profit and sorting out healthcare issues and all of that sort of stuff and schooling. No, it doesn't work like that, unfortunately. They're not quite smart enough to be able to do that. What actually happens is the people that are of working age right now pay for those that are taking state pension. It is a completely backward, ridiculous way of doing it, but that is the government for you. Now, as you can imagine, if you have more people living longer, you're going to need more people of working age that are working, paying into the system in order to pay those that are retired. And the trends as a result of this report have shown that actually we've got a bit of an issue here. So just have a look at this chart here. This is a macro trend website and it's looking at analysis of how long people are going to live. Back in 1950, the average age was 68, averaged across both sexes. Current situation we're at now is 81. So obviously that's a significant increase, but look at how it goes even further. By the end of the century, we're going to be in a position where on average, people are going to be living to 90 years old. This trend is not going backwards. This trend is only going to be getting worse, if anything. So up until 2010, women actually were able to retire by 60 years old. They were able to start taking a state pension. This has since increased to 66 years old. It is going to be going up even further. And by 2044, it could be as high as 68 years old. As this initiative comes into play, obviously that's going to increase even further to 71 years old. Now, the issue I've got here is, yeah, maybe there are people living longer, but what's the standard of quality of those years 70 plus? Also, it is a blanket rule for everyone. Now, I'm pretty sure I don't want my scaffolding being put up by a 71-year-old. I'm pretty sure I don't want my block paving to be done by a 71-year-old. There are not very many 71-year-olds out there doing 10-hour days working on drainage. This on top of the fact that it is a completely unfair system, of course. I mean, we won't get into that side of things, but in reality, if you're putting in cash every single month for 40 years, for 50 years of working life, and you still don't get the opportunity to take anything back at the end, it's a welfare state, etc., all of that sort of good stuff, it helps. But it does kick in the shins a little bit if you're contributing significantly over your life and it just continues to go back and back and back just as a result of mismanagement from a government. I want to caveat this at this point. There is absolutely no guarantee that this is going to happen. It's a report at this point. It is independently done by this International Longevity Centre think tank, a recommendation that may need looking at. There is no guarantees it's going to happen. And given that these things are so politically motivated and they can change the direction of election in their own right, I think the government's going to be treading very carefully in terms of how it approaches it, whichever government ends up being in place. But the reality of the situation is, unfortunately, in the future, there is definitely not going to be enough people working to pay for those that are not. So I'll tell you what exactly I'm doing about it. Now, the older you get, the more cynical you get at the world. But I have always been cynical about state pensions right the way from when I was a bloody child, probably. That's how boring I am. So I've always thought that I'm not really going to be guaranteeing I'm going to get a state pension. So what have I done? Well, I've been investing in a private pension ever since I started working, and that's ticked along nicely and has put me in an okay position. But the main thing that I'm doing is I'm investing outside of a pension. And the reason for that is because I'm concerned as well about what actually might happen to my private pension. I think that the size of private pension pots is very, very appealing and tasty to any incoming government, and it's far too tasty for them to ignore. Now, again, the political side of things, we can bear that in mind. And you might think that the UK government would never dip into private pensions. Well, it has happened across the world in the past. It's happened in Greece, it's happened in other countries, and there's no reason logically why it might not happen in the future. There's not no guarantees here. So I am a little bit worried about my private pension as well. And even if they don't dip the fingers into it, that continues to go up as well. So at the moment it's 57 before you can access that. Who's to say it won't be bloody 65 by the time I retire? And I can't access my private pension until I'm 65. Yeah, great. That's some extra compounding growth into it. But maybe I want it earlier, and I do want it earlier. So exactly what I'm doing, and you can do your own thing, but I'm telling you what I'm doing is I am investing outside of my pension, and I am completely not relying in the slightest bit on getting a state pension. So since 2020, have been investing into an ISA, and I've been depositing as much as I possibly can into that. Now, the benefit of that is, unlike a pension, where you get tax relief up front when you get paid, you don't get that. So you have to pay your income tax, and you end up with your net salary, which you can then put into an ISA. However, the benefit of it is there is no tax paid whatsoever once it goes into an ISA. Any gains you make, any dividends, any growth on the ISA is completely tax-free at that point. So you can withdraw all of that, and it's completely tax-free. You can put £20,000 in a year. It is one of the best financial products that there are around the world. And if you were to put that £20,000 in, and you struck gold and you picked a stock, for example, and it 10x'd and it became worth £200,000, you do not pay a penny in tax on that. Like I say, I believe it to be one of the best financial products that exist throughout the world. And I'm not saying that you need to do it, but I'm just giving you the facts in terms of what might be happening and exactly what I am doing. Now, the brokers that I use for that, I'll put a link for them below. In both of those situations, Trading 212 and InvestEngine, you're going to get some freebies back if you use those links, if you want to get started with that. I have done videos previously in terms of where I've gone over my portfolios. Feel free to have a look over that. And bear in mind, actually, I'm probably not going to be doing those going forward. I'm not going to be covering my portfolio from this point on. So if you do want to see where it is at this point, feel free to check it out. Again, not financial advice. Again, any investments that you have can go down as well as up. Your capital's at risk. Bear in mind all of the risks associated with it. And if you're not in a position where you're prepared to take those risks, and if you're not in a position where you properly understand it, it's probably not the right product for you. However, for me, I've spent a long time reading, learning, listening, thinking about how I can overcome the issue in terms of being able to retire early. The best thing for me to do is to invest through stocks and shares ISAs. Now, this is a complex topic, and it is an emotive topic, so I want you to let me know if there's any questions that you've got relating to this. I'm going to put this video onto TikTok as well, and typically on TikTok I will be replying to relevant comments with a video as well. So if you've got anything that you want to know, ask away.